Drew McIntyre's journey in WWE has been one of the most puzzling and frustrating tales in recent memory. From his early days as the Chosen One, to his unceremonious release, his triumphant return, and then his main event push, it seems like WWE has never fully embraced him. Despite his undeniable talent and dedication, time and time again, fans have witnessed him being overlooked, underutilized, or put in situations that feel more like obstacles than opportunities. WWE's treatment of Drew McIntyre has raised many questions, leaving fans to wonder if the company truly values him, or if they simply see him as a placeholder rather than a long-term star. When McIntyre first debuted, Vince McMahon himself anointed him as the future of the company. This endorsement should have cemented his rise to the top, but instead, it placed an enormous amount of pressure on him. WWE failed to follow through with the build, putting him in mid-card feuds that never truly elevated him. His Intercontinental Championship reign was forgettable, and instead of grooming him for main event success, he was shuffled around in unimportant storylines, eventually leading to his decline in status. The downfall of his first run was not solely his fault. WWE's inconsistent booking and the company's obsession with hot-shotting other stars pushed him further down the pecking order. Eventually, he found himself part of 3MB, a comedy act that was designed to be a joke rather than a launching pad for future success. The faction was meant to entertain, but it completely derailed any credibility McIntyre had left. While he made the most of it, it was clear WWE had given up on him. Instead of being the chosen one, he became the forgotten one. His release in 2014 seemed like the final nail in the coffin, but McIntyre proved everyone wrong by rebuilding himself on the independent scene. He became a dominant force, winning championships in multiple promotions and proving he had always been main event material. His work in Impact Wrestling showed that he could carry a brand and be a true world champion. His return to WWE should have been his moment of redemption, but instead, it became another tale of frustration. When McIntyre re-entered WWE through NXT, fans were hopeful. He quickly won the NXT Championship, but his reign felt rushed and ended abruptly due to injury. WWE moved him to the main roster, where he was initially booked strongly, but the pattern of setbacks continued. Despite being one of the most imposing and well-rounded performers on the roster, WWE never fully pulled the trigger on him until circumstances forced their hand. His WWE Championship victory at WrestleMania 36 should have been his defining moment, but due to the COVID-19 pandemic, there was no live crowd to witness it. While McIntyre carried the company during one of its most difficult times, WWE seemed to see him as nothing more than a transitional champion. He defended the title against lackluster opponents and never received the same booking strength as other top champions. Despite having solid matches and proving himself as a credible main event star, WWE always seemed reluctant to truly invest in him. Once live crowds returned, WWE wasted no time in moving away from McIntyre. He was swiftly pushed aside to make room for stars like Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar, and other returning veterans. Instead of continuing to build him as a credible threat, WWE placed him in pointless feuds that did little to elevate him. He went from main eventing pay-per-views to being stuck in repetitive mid-card matches, feuding with wrestlers like Happy Corbin in a rivalry that felt beneath him. The biggest slap in the face came at Clash at the Castle. Everything was set up for McIntyre to finally have his crowning moment in front of a massive UK crowd. The storyline, the build, and the fan support were all aligned for him to win the championship. But WWE chose to keep the title on Roman Reigns, deflating all momentum McIntyre had built up. The way he was booked after that loss made it clear that WWE did not see him as a long-term champion. Instead of rebounding, he was thrown into irrelevant storylines, and his momentum faded once again. The pattern with McIntyre is clear. WWE gives him just enough success to keep him relevant, but never enough to establish him as a true face of the company. They have no problem using him as a reliable performer, but they refuse to let him break through the glass ceiling. Whether it's a lack of faith from management or simply bad timing, McIntyre continues to be overlooked in favor of other stars, many of whom don't have the same level of consistency or work ethic that he brings. Another frustrating aspect is how WWE constantly books him to come close, but never quite reach the mountaintop. Even when he has great matches and compelling storylines, WWE finds a way to pull the rug out from under him. Whether it's through interference, last-minute booking changes, or being used to put over someone else, McIntyre has rarely been given a fair shot at maintaining his top status. He's always in the mix, but never the centerpiece. There is also the issue of how WWE positions him in storylines. Instead of presenting him as a legitimate main eventer, they often have him engaging in comedy segments or pointless rivalries. When he should be feuding with the best, he is instead stuck in never-ending programs that do nothing for his career. WWE's refusal to give him consistent character development makes it difficult for fans to invest in him long-term. Injuries and bad timing have played a role in McIntyre's struggles, but that doesn't fully explain why WWE continues to undermine him. Other stars who have been sidelined with injuries have returned to strong pushes, but McIntyre always seems to be fighting an uphill battle. His work during the pandemic era should have earned him more loyalty from WWE, but instead, they seem content keeping him as an afterthought. Despite all of this, McIntyre remains one of WWE's most dependable stars. He delivers in the ring, cuts strong promos, and has a connection with the audience. Fans want to see him succeed, but WWE constantly holds him back. Whether it's refusing to give him a proper title run, booking him in meaningless feuds, or keeping him out of major storylines, WWE's handling of McIntyre is a prime example of wasted potential. Drew McIntyre stands at a crucial point in his career, one that could determine the legacy he leaves behind in WWE. Having been a dominant force in recent years, capturing the WWE Championship, and solidifying himself as a top-tier talent, the question now is what comes next for the Scottish Warrior. With his credibility already established, the direction he takes will be pivotal in defining the next phase of his journey. Given the landscape of WWE, McIntyre is poised for a major feud that could shape his immediate future. The key will be finding an opponent that not only challenges him, but also brings out a new layer to his character. His next rivalry must be personal, intense, and capable of elevating both men involved. One possible direction involves a feud with someone he has history with, whether it's a former ally or an opponent he's yet to settle unfinished business with. Seth Rollins presents an intriguing option. Their past battles have been exceptional, but with Rollins now holding the World Heavyweight Championship, McIntyre could find himself in the hunt for another title reign. The animosity could be fueled by McIntyre's growing frustration over constantly coming close, but falling short. His loss at prior premium live events might serve as the motivation he needs to take a darker turn, bringing out a more aggressive, relentless side of him. If Rollins continues portraying himself as a resilient champion who refuses to back down, McIntyre's frustration could manifest into a character shift, making him more ruthless in his pursuit of gold. Another compelling possibility lies in a feud with Gunther. The Intercontinental Champion has been a dominant force, breaking records and dismantling challengers with his hard-hitting style. A clash between Gunther and McIntyre wouldn't just be about the championship. It would be a battle of two warriors with an old-school approach to wrestling. Their styles complement each other, promising a hard-fought, physical rivalry that could produce instant classics. If McIntyre were to take this route, it would offer him an opportunity to establish himself as an unstoppable force once again, potentially setting the stage for a future world title run. If WWE opts to position McIntyre as a babyface, a storyline with Damian Priest could be a great avenue. Priest, as a member of Judgment Day, has been gaining momentum, and McIntyre could step in as the veteran who refuses to be pushed aside by the younger, emerging stars. This program could see McIntyre not only face Priest, but also have to battle against the entire Judgment Day faction, forcing him to find allies or take them on alone. His rivalry with the group could showcase his resilience, leading to grueling battles that further solidify him as one of the company's most durable and respected figures. Alternatively, if McIntyre were to turn heel, his next target could be Cody Rhodes. Rhodes is currently one of WWE's most beloved superstars, and if McIntyre were to grow bitter over being overlooked, it could fuel a grudge against the American Nightmare. McIntyre could claim that Rhodes was handed opportunities that he had to fight years to get. A personal, emotionally charged feud could unfold, with McIntyre targeting Rhodes' vulnerabilities, bringing up his past failures, and questioning whether he truly deserves the spotlight. A return to a feud with Roman Reigns isn't out of the question either. Their clash at the Castle was one of the most memorable moments in McIntyre's career, though he ultimately fell short. With Reigns still holding a tight grip on the WWE Universal Championship, McIntyre might see himself circling back to the Tribal Chief in an attempt to correct the past. However, this time, things could be different. Perhaps McIntyre wouldn't be the same hopeful babyface from before. Instead, he might take a more calculating, methodical approach to dismantling the bloodline, using their own tactics against them. McIntyre's future could also involve a shift in allegiance. If he were to join forces with another competitor, it could drastically change his trajectory. A partnership with someone like Sheamus could see them reforming their hard-hitting duo and potentially chasing tag team gold. On the flip side, if he were to align with a rising faction, or even form his own, he could become a leader, guiding others while simultaneously keeping himself in the title picture. The biggest concern is what comes next for him. As long as WWE continues to prioritize other stars over him, he will remain stuck in limbo. He deserves better than being used as a stepping stone for others. If WWE won't recognize his value, he may eventually have to look elsewhere to get the respect he deserves. For now, fans will continue to support him, hoping that one day WWE will finally give him the run he has earned. Until then, McIntyre's career will remain one of the biggest what-ifs in WWE history.